Coming up on Cronkite News, today President Biden signed an executive order to make childcare cheaper and more accessible.
Plus, Narcan will be available over the counter. You can soon purchase the life-saving drug at your pharmacy. Coming up, find out how to use it properly. And later, our sports anchor Noel Blumel is live at Footprint Center to give us a look at Game 2 of the NBA playoffs.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Maria Stobbs.
And I'm Connor McGill. Thank you for joining us.
President Biden signed an executive order today to increase child care in the United States.
Cronkite News reporter Madison Perales tells us how this will benefit Arizonans.
With President Biden's term getting closer to its end, he's trying to keep his promise of better child care across the nation. Today, he gave his remarks on the executive order and what the plan is moving forward.
Child care funding has been a battle for a while. The vice president of child care at the YMCA has seen the struggle for over 20 years.
Child care has always been an under-resourced entity.
There is one obstacle currently standing in the way of families who need assistance.
But costs are going up, so that decreases the family's ability to pay for high-quality child care.
President Biden recognizes this problem. He took action today by signing the executive order. The goal is to lower costs for families in child care and grant programs.
No one should have to choose between caring for the parents who raise them, the children who depend on them, or the paycheck they rely on to take care of both.
And Arizona child care organizations are hopeful.
The president's action today is important, even if it's largely symbolic, because it states a commitment out of the administration to address a huge problem that is looming in the country.
But some people see a problem with adding another federally funded plan.
The day will come when we have to pay the piper, and it will not be a pretty day. So we need to start reducing the national debt, not increasing it.
Although national debt is a problem, these child care organizations believe the pros outweigh the cons.
I do know there's quite a few families that we serve specifically in our West Valley who will benefit greatly from this, based on the fact they're trying hard to find child care that's affordable while having a family member working within the federal government.
Aside from child care, the order also aims to help veterans get better home-based care and raise pay and benefits for teachers and staff in the Head Start program. In the newsroom, Madison Perales, Cronkite News.
Late this afternoon, a multi-million-dollar settlement was reached between Fox News and Dominion Voting Systems. This comes after Dominion sued Fox News for $1.6 billion for damaging their reputation after the 2020 election. Dominion accused Fox of saying their voting equipment switched votes from former President Donald Trump to President Biden. After opening statements today, both sides reached a settlement of $787.5 million.
And last night, Arizona GOP officials discussed their nominees to replace former Representative Liz Harris after her expulsion from the Arizona House.
3 names were on that list, one being Liz Harris. Cronkite News reporter Alexa Stambridge takes a look at what that means.
According to an expert I spoke to, under Arizona law, a legislative replacement must be of the same political party, a resident of the district, and at least 25 years old. They also said filling a vacancy is not uncommon for Maricopa County because of resignations to run for other political positions.
Former Representative Liz Harris was expelled last week after the Ethics Committee said she violated House rules when she invited a conspiracy theorist to testify before lawmakers. Last night, Republican officials announced their 3 nominees to fill the vacant District 13 spot: Steve Steele, Julie Willoughby, and Liz Harris. Now it's up to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to decide who will be the replacement.
I can tell you what the board normally does is have a very transparent and open process on how they will proceed, which will include background checks, robust interviews.
Douglas Cole is the Chief Operating Officer for High Ground Incorporated, a public affairs firm in Arizona. He says he can't envision a situation where the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors will reinstate Harris.
If I was a betting man, I would bet that she has very little chance. She has been an extreme election denier. She has attacked the Board of Supervisors and how and the county recorder.
Cole says Steve Steele, one of the other nominations, is an unknown, but Julie Willoughby actually ran against Liz Harris in the 2022 election and only lost by a couple hundred votes.
A spokesperson from Maricopa County says they will have more information soon, but there is no statutory deadline for the Board of Supervisors. In the newsroom, Alexia Stambridge, Cronkite News.
The Phoenix Union High School District hasn't had student resource officers or SROs since 2020. The district took daily police presence out of schools following protests from students and concerns from parents. 3 years later, the district is rethinking whether officers belong on campus. Reporter Madeline Jaskowiak looks at the issue with input from students, employees, and district board members.
It is unclear whether student resource officers hired from Phoenix Police will be called back to work in the state's largest high school district. Since December, the district has held meetings to hear from the public and discuss methods to increase safety measures in schools. Phoenix Union District's governing board met recently for what was supposed to be a vote on reinstating SROs.
I'm looking forward to reviewing the data and findings to see what works for Phoenix Union and how we can use these recommendations to create a safety plan for Phoenix Union. And, it is our responsibility as a board to be able to co-create those solutions about what we heard today.
Governing board members did not vote on the plan and instead decided to hold more study sessions to review the recommendations. This comes with a lot of frustration from both advocates for and against student resource officers in schools. Melody Bach was one of dozens of people who signed up to speak during the meeting.
We have staff who are removing guns and weapons from our students. I'm not trained on weapon handling.
She says it's a safety issue.
Right now, we are in a situation where we really need that in-person law enforcement on site to provide the experience and the skill sets that our staff do not have.
But many parents and students do not feel comfortable with police patrolling campuses. Jaden Huerta went to schools that had SROs and says that relationships between students and SROs added to tensions.
What I noticed is that a lot of SROs, instantly have some sort of attitude towards Black and brown students. And typically they just start telling them, hey, go to the office, go to the principal's office.
Huerta believes that SROs are not a resource for students and they would better benefit from other services.
More therapeutic counselors, more nurses, more food programs, more restorative justice programs. These are all great things that would be needed to help better support our students.
The board says it will make its decision in May. In Phoenix, Madeline Jaskowiak, Cronkite News.
Last week, the FDA officially approved the purchase of Narcan for the public, and while it's not available yet, it will be available for over-the-counter purchase soon. Cronkite News reporter Logan Camden has more on how to administer naloxone in emergencies.
Naloxone is a life-saving drug that rapidly reverses the effects of an overdose. To use a football analogy, naloxone's job is to take out the narcotic that's sitting on the receptor of the cell in the nose, tackle it off of there, and take its place. The first step when dealing with a potential overdose victim is to contact 911. The dispatcher will walk you through what you need to do and send help to your location. Now, law enforcement recommends you wait for medical personnel to arrive because when overdose victims are awoken very rapidly, they can be agitated and angry. But if an overdose victim is unresponsive and not breathing, you will need to act fast and administer Narcan. Hold the Narcan with the thumb on the bottom of the plunger and 2 fingers on top of the nozzle. And place and hold the tip of the nozzle in either nostril until your fingers touch the bottom of the subject's nose. Then you press the plunger to release the dose. The victim should respond immediately and wake up, but if the victim still remains unresponsive, you may need to provide assisted breathing and CPR or another dose of Narcan. More than 5 people die every day from overdoses in Arizona, and over the past 3 years, overdose deaths have increased by 66% and have more than doubled since 2015. Narcan nasal spray is expected to be available over the counter in pharmacies by late summer of 2023 and will hopefully help combat the continually increasing overdose rates. In the newsroom, Logan Camden, Cronkite News.
Still ahead on Cronkite News, with summer fast approaching, Arizona natives will be looking for a way to escape the heat.
And luckily for those who live in Maricopa County, the Salt River is back open.
After the break, we'll explain why the river had been closed and share some safety tips before you go for a swim.
I'm Noelle Blumel here at Footprint Center, where the Suns are getting ready for Game 2 of their first round matchup against the Clippers.
Help your child learn at home with PBS Kids. Together, explore reading, math and science, life lessons, and more right alongside your favorite characters on TV and anytime on the PBS Kids 24/7 channel. And we offer free resources to help with at-home learning. Visit pbskids.org for educational tips, lessons, and hands-on activities. Also, sign up to receive even more information by email. Discover lots of fun tools and ideas to keep your child engaged. Learn at home with PBS Kids.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation. How do you think that so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives?
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS. Find out what's on Arizona PBS at azpbs.org/schedule.
Arizona is home to 3 national parks: Saguaro, Petrified Forest, and of course the Grand Canyon. While this Saturday marks the beginning of National Parks Week, entrance fees will be waived that day for all parks to encourage visitors to see their beauty in person.
Another way to encourage park visits, Google Maps is upgrading their navigation system to include details for an easier visit. Google Maps will have new features including trail routes, walking and cycling directions, as well as downloadable park map for you when you can't access the internet.
And the Lower Salt River is opening back up for recreational activities after being closed since the end of March.
Yeah, that's right, Maria. The Ranger District closed the area after SRP released more water in the combat of snow melt and heavy rains. Brianna still has more on what the Forest Service is doing amid it all.
That's right, Connor. Our water flow in the Lower Salt River is flowing faster than last year, according to SRP. In fact, for April 18th of last year, the river was flowing at about 600 cubic feet per second, whereas this year we have hit over 1,000 cubic feet per second, which will make your river ride faster, but potentially more dangerous. So the U.S. Forest Service has these tips. First, always wear your life jacket and make sure you pay attention to the current. And if you end up in the water, don't fight it. Swim parallel to the riverbank until you can get out. Or they recommend to float feet first in a half sitting position. Next, make sure you let someone know that you plan to be at the river today. And if you come across someone needing help, do not go in the water. Instead, make sure you reach or throw something for them to grab onto and call 911 as soon as possible. Lastly, know your limits. Don't do more than you feel okay with and trust how your body is feeling. This will ensure you can enjoy the newly fast-flowing Salt River without needing to be rescued. In the newsroom, Brianna Steele, Cronkite News.
Things are heating up in the valley again, and honestly, I think there's pollen swirling around in the breeze.
Absolutely, Maria. And my allergies have been acting up all day for sure. Ariana Ariza has more in our weather center with the latest insight on where all these allergies are coming into play with the weather. Ariana?
That's right, Connor. My allergies have been really bad lately. And if you've been experiencing allergies that are bugging you, it's because of the change of season that has brought out really high pollen levels. Where we're gonna see tomorrow a high levels with the grass and tree pollen, where we're gonna see the lows of weeds and mold. So you wanna take that into consideration if you do plan on being outside tomorrow. Earlier today, we did see some really beautiful temperatures where we're going to see it hit 84 at 6 p.m. as it starts to cool off and hit 74 at 10. But with those temperatures, we're still seeing below freezing temperatures up in the high country. We're down here in the lower country. Our highest lows is going to be 56 in Yuma and out here in the valley. As it is going to warm up a little bit throughout the day, up in the higher country, it's going to warm up to high 50s and 60s. We're down here in the lower country, we're going to see some really nice 80s. But with those 80s comes a really high UV index of 9 tomorrow. So with that, you want to make sure you take into consideration the burn time. Make sure you wear your hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, find shade to cool off. Make sure you stay hydrated because you don't want to be dehydrated and you want to protect yourself from those heats. But with that, it's going to start to warm up leading into next week where we're going to see a high 89 on Friday, taking us into our weekend with the highest being 95 on Sunday, where we'll see those temperatures drop a little bit next week with a high of 90 on Tuesday and some cloud skies. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Ariana Riza. To you, Noel.
I'm Noelle Blumel at Footprint Center. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. We're talking Suns playoffs. Plus, the University of Arizona played their spring football game over the weekend, drawing a record crowd. We'll get a look at what the Wildcats have in store this fall.
And that's the way it is. Monday, September.
Newscasting has changed a lot since the time of Walter Cronkite. That's why here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, you can learn the studio production skills of today in real time. Whether you want to work audio, direct, technical direct, design graphics, or you can even run the floor. It's all part of the Television Production and Graphics Lab here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going on in 3, 2...
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Noelle Blumel. We are here at Footprint Center as the Suns get ready to face the Clippers in Game 2 of this playoff series. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock, and for more on tonight's matchup, we'll send it over to Sabrina Giles. Sabrina?
For the first time under Monty Williams, the Suns are down 0-1 in a playoff series. Before Sunday, they were 6-0 in Game 1, all at home. But the Clippers outplayed Phoenix and took the Suns out of their rhythm.
You look at the shots we missed in the mid-range that we typically make more of, and then the rebounding. Like, you just combine those two, and you probably are having a different press conference right now. But give them credit. They did some things to force us into those shots. And when we have those shots, we got to make them.
Monty says he wants to make sure the Suns dictate the style of play in this game too, which means faster pace and getting more shot attempts for Kevin Durant, who had just 15 in Game 1. One thing, Noel, that might not be in the favor of the Suns is that Scott Foster will be heading up the officiating crew. We'll see how that plays out, especially for Chris Paul.
Yes, Sabrina, Scott Foster and Chris Paul have quite the history together, with none of it being in favor of the Suns guard, who has quite many disagreements with the veteran official. Paul's playoff record when officiated by Foster is 2-17 with a 13-game losing streak in the postseason. Back in 2021, Paul met with NBA officials to discuss his infamous record with Foster. The Suns are hoping to avoid a first-round exit. Wildcats held their annual spring football game with the blue team beating the white team with a score of 23-19. Our Cronkite sports reporter Aviana Hoppus traveled to Tucson to see what fans can expect from the Wildcats this fall.
Fans got their first glimpse of the Arizona football team on Saturday in their annual spring game, and Oregon transfer Justin Flo got his first taste of Tucson support for the Wildcats with a record crowd on hand.
It felt unreal. It just felt like, coming from Oregon and just coming to all that, it just felt like a new experience, and I loved it. And I just felt like it just bring more energy to me, and it just made me want to go harder.
Head coach Jed Fish is in his third season leading the Arizona program, and he was pleased with the team's performance on both sides of the ball.
So the offense picked up where they left off, and I feel like the defense made one of the bigger jumps that I've ever seen that I've sat through. But overall, probably Jaden.
Fish wasn't the only one impressed with quarterback Jaden De Laura. The junior signal caller is also pleased with his progress this spring.
I feel like I've done way better than I did last spring. I feel way more comfortable compared to last season and this spring.
For De Laura and the Wildcats, the work will continue with player-led summer workouts as they build towards their season opener on September 2nd against Northern Arizona. From Tucson, Arizona, I'm Aviana Hoppus, Cronkite News.
Tennis player turned pickleball pro Tyson McGuffin is back in the Valley. Cronkite sports reporter Ireland Horvat shows us how he got his start back in Arizona.
Five-time pickleball Grand Slam champion Tyson McGuffin has connections to Arizona, including attending Scottsdale Community College, where he played tennis as a fighting artichoke. He recently came back to the Valley to throw out the first pitch at the Diamondbacks game.
I think most athletes, obviously dream of throwing out the first pitch or being on a stage like that.
Having a past career in tennis, McGuffin became a head tennis pro and mentored players like Connor Garnett at the Yakima Tennis Club in Washington State. They now play against each other on the Pro Pickleball Tour.
He's been on the tour for a lot longer than me. He sees the game in such a way. He's very studious, really does the research, and so it's very good to kind of see the way he takes care of everything.
Many pickleball tour players come from the game of tennis because of the similarities of the two sports. It wasn't a difficult choice for McGuffin to make the transition to pickleball.
I'm glad they say that I'm a pickleball junkie. I have been since 2016. Obviously was a tennis lover back in the day, but that is gone now.
McGuffin has secured big-name sponsors like Skechers and Selkirk, where he has both a signature shoe and a signature paddle. McGuffin's signature paddle is the Invicta, which he uses to play in his tournament.
The sport's obviously only getting more developed. It's only getting more established. It's on TV now, and now we have bigger brands coming in the game.
Although a menace on the court, McGuffin is a family guy with a soft side.
I'm a softie inside. I've got 4 beautiful children. My oldest son has special needs, and even though I may be a monster on the court, I'm about as soft as they come off the court.
McGuffin will be playing this weekend at the Newport Beach Shootout for the Carvana Tour in California, where he is ranked number 8 in doubles and number 4 in singles. In Paradise Valley, Ireland Horvat, Cronkite Sports.
For your Cronkite Sports Report, let's send it back to Maria and Connor.
Thanks, Noelle. When you're lucky in love, it deserves to be celebrated in a special way.
The union of unicorns was put on full display yesterday.
After the break, why this couple donned outfits resembling an iconic mythical creature.
Now streaming on the PBS app, the definitive collection of documentaries from award-winning filmmaker Ken Burns.
Hemingway, the man, is much more interesting than the myth.
It is a story that Americans have to reckon with.
He's got my job. I'm the town.
Discover over 40 groundbreaking films that bring our history to life. Stream the Ken Burns collection now with Passport on the PBS app.
Adrienne Fairwell.
Caldwell, General Manager of Arizona PBS. We've got so much going on here at the station. I'm Catherine Anaya.
I'm Alberto Rios. I'm Chef Mark Tarbell.
I'm Ted Simons.
We want everyone to know that their Arizona connection starts right here at Arizona PBS.
For over the past 60 years, Arizona PBS has told incredible stories of Arizona's distinctive people.
We got to start being more vulnerable with each other.
What I love most about being a Latina woman is the passion and drive that I feel.
Beautiful landscapes and treasured history.
We're doing something that benefits the community.
Good evening and welcome to Horizonte.
Welcome to Check Please, Arizona.
Welcome to the U.S. Senate debate.
The recipient of the Emmy is
Arizona PBS.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Two unicorns in love, but that's not the weirdest part.
They chose to renew their wedding vows at the finish line of the Boston Marathon yesterday.
This Virginia couple dressed as unicorns to honor the Boston Athletic Association symbol of the mythical creature.
The unicorn symbol has been around since 1980 when the club first held a track and field competition. After crossing the finish line, they renewed their vows after the run.
And that's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
We love unicorns.
That's crazy. They did the whole show.